Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast. This is your escape for real, unscripted conversations about sports, hobbies, life, and storytelling. No scripts, no forced takes, just Man Cave talk. Now, here's your host, Dan Casper.
It is National Trading Card Day today, and joining us in studio from Slab Factory, Tyler. So nice to meet you, Tyler.
Yeah,
appreciate you stopping
Dan.
in and such. So if you guys are watching on the stream too, I know we're going to get to. Tyler's brought in a few cards of his personal collection that he's gonna show up on there too. But happy National Trading Card Day. What are you doing to celebrate today?
Yeah, I mean, to celebrate today, I'm probably going to go work the shop
Yeah.
a little bit. Yeah, Slab Factory on Claremont. Yeah, we do have. If you didn't know, it's actually National Pokémon Day.
Oh,
it's not even
okay.
National. I think it's just Pokémon Day
Okay.
on February 27th. So on Friday, we're doing a big trade night for that because
Nice.
that's like the 30th anniversary of Pokémon.
Oh man,
which is hard to wrap my head
I know.
around.
Yeah, 30 years already. Wow,
I know.
that's insane.
I still remember those first sets, but 30 years of that. So we will be doing a trade night on Friday. It'll be a sports celebration too because it's trading card day week and all
Right.
that stuff. So we'll be posting some details on that. But yeah, I mean, otherwise I'm celebrating trading cards every day.
Nice.
That's as much to my wife's chagrin. But I brought some of my cards in. Also just here to talk cards. Anytime.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about first things first. Slab Factory. You mentioned it's located on Claremont Avenue and such.
Yes.
What was kind of the inspiration for Slab Factory?
Yeah, Slab Factory actually goes back to an idea that I had with my colleague Jordan Stoll, who also runs the shop with me. Jordan and I had this idea. We worked together. We were selling cars at Marquardt back in the day, and we had this idea for a collectible case that was a slab with custom label, like a magnetic slab with custom label. And we actually made them. We brought them to market. We did a Kickstarter. It was a blast. We had a really good time. That kind of product ended up being kind of a tough lift for us to continue to do. We still do them, but we didn't try to like push it beyond, sort of a local scope and sending it out to some card shops and that kind of thing. And we were vending at shows and we eventually realized, boy, we have the stuff to maybe open a shop. Let's take a look at it. We looked at Banbury Place. We were there for about 8 months, or not even, I think, until March of last year. And then we moved into our full space in Claremont, and we've been a shop for about a year and a half now. We have our second location in Madison, that opened back in November, and it's just a blast. The people coming in all the time, showing us their really cool collections, like being a part of that community has been the absolute best part.
So, I mean, is it hard though at times too? Because I feel like in that business, I'm like, I want to keep all these cards, for myself.
It's so funny you say that because I kind of went the other way. Like when we started the business, it was like, I don't need any cards for myself. They're all going right into the shop. I have had different kinds of personal collections over, they call it a PC, right?
Yep.
I've had different PCs over the time that I've been collecting. The one that I'm working on right now is the one that I'm having the most fun with. Game use patches of, all-star players since I was born in 92. But a lot of my personal collections have come and gone. I think it's okay to like have them, be in your life and then go out the door and, to somebody else. And, the shop has led to honestly less of a personal collection because the whole shop is sometimes kind of feels like your collection.
That's a good way to look at it too. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So that's great that you guys have been able to expand in Madison and such. I mean, has it kind of blossom maybe more than you expected so far?
Oh yeah. I mean, like one of the things, Jordan and I we were sports card collectors, and we sort of dove into Pokemon a little bit, and we were like, oh wow, like, and Eau Claire has a bunch of really good card shops. Eau Claire, like the Chippewa Valley in general, surprisingly supports a large number of card shops considering the population. When we opened in Madison, there was just not that many. I mean, honestly, there's more solid card shops in the Chippewa Valley than there are in the Madison area, which, surprised us.
Wow.
But Eau Claire supports so many card shops and everyone doing a lot of great things. And So we were surprised at the Pokemon volume right away, but we also opened like right at the beginning of the sort of Pokemon resurgence. I mean, it was there. It's always been there.
Right.
It's evergreen, but it like really kind of blew up. So we were, sort of uplifted by that. And then, we hired our manager, CJ, who's just a Pokemon whiz, and everyone absolutely adores CJ and knows his stuff. So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
I mean, but it was surprising. And then Madison itself, it's been a whirlwind, but Jordan's driving up and down I-94 like a madman. And, we're really having a good time.
That's awesome. So take us back to when you were younger. Who were some of the athletes or the players that you used to collect as a kid?
Yeah. I mean, I've always been a big NBA guy. I pulled like a Jason Richardson game worn patch card. I remember this like it was yesterday. And I immediately like watched all of his highlights that I could find. I was all over Jason Richardson. I think that's what I love about cards so much. It can bring you to a player if you didn't even care about them in the first place.
Yeah. Yep.
I was always a Bucks kid, and I've had a lot of Bucks cards over the years, but really, I remember that experience. I remember collecting MLB Showdown cards, which, I mean, I don't know if you remember those, but it was a game with a 20-sided die roll, and like, all the kids were playing it on the playground. We still have, my brother and I still have a binder of those MLB Showdown cards. Collecting with my brother growing up, and he actually was the one who kind of brought me back into it back in 2020. Those memories are important to me. I don't remember our card shop. We had one in Sheboygan where I grew up, but it was downtown. All I know is that my mom would take us there, and we'd get like a pack of MLB Showdown cards.
That's awesome.
And then I also remember the Pokemon cards. Of course, that was also a big part of the playground growing up.
Yeah, I mean, when I grew up in Medford, a town of 4,000, we had a grandpa and grandma owned this little shop that I remember going in. It didn't last long. Then Ben Franklin was our store, and then Kmart came to town. So then you could get packs at Kmart.
Yeah.
But that was kind of it too. And then, growing up, it kind of got out of it a little bit. But then the resurgence. You look at like 2020, obviously with the COVID and such. Now you look at this and you look at the market. Kind of thinking back to when you were younger, just how big has this hobby gotten over the years?
Yeah, one of the things that people don't know, coming in is that, there back in the day, it would, there's stuff from 60, 70, years ago that's rare because they weren't printing a ton. Then you get into this era where sports cards were really hugely popular in the 80s and 90s, but there was no rarity to any of them. They were just overprinting everything, right? So like they call that the junk wax era. I don't love that term because it's not junk. I actually love digging through it. People bring it into the shop for us to like look at, say like, oh, do I have anything good? That kind of thing. And it's we don't love taking all those in because if we did that all day, we'd be doing nothing. But but it is fun to dig through those sometimes, right? But then like in the early 2000s, late 90s, they started adding rarity to it, so numbered cards, case hits, things like that, and that's when there started to be some rarity, and that's where the money kind of came in. There was always some money floating around in this stuff, but that's when it really came into play. And then early 2020 was kind of like that boom where some of this started to feel like more transactional, more of a cards are liquidity, and you're trying to buy sell, and that's not a bad thing, but the hobby is supposed to be accessible. It's supposed to be something that everyone can enjoy in their own way. That's why I'm really enjoying my patch collection. I'll show the camera a couple of these. The patch collection for me, these are not super valuable cards. Like, I got this Michael Redd card, which I just love, for like $15, and that kind of thing is what I like about the hobby, but you can also like the money side too. There's money to be made if you get into this kind of thing and do it in a specific way that is designed to do so.
You mentioned the patch, and that just kind of takes me back as a kid, because I remember as a kid, if you got a patch card in a pack, that was like a big deal.
Yes.
And now I feel like
gosh.
It's like, okay, well, they're not that worth, but that was such a big deal.
Back in the day, it was more common that they were game worn or player worn or something. And now, a lot of these manufacturers, I'll say that Topps is correcting this a little bit for sure. You will see a lot more player worn, game worn stuff in Topps product than you did in Panini licensed product.
Okay.
Panini licensed product was, there was a lot of just not associated with any specific game or event. And
Right.
And so, that's why it kind of sucks that life out of that a little bit.
Yep.
But you're looking for the player worn stuff, and that is still a hit.
Absolutely. I know that. It's what my 8-year-old loves. He's like, Dad, I got a jersey card, or I got a patch card. And
I saw it in
like,
Anthony Edwards' Georgia one.
Yeah. So that one, that's one of his favorites.
Yeah,
for
of course.
sure.
That's awesome.
So he's definitely not one, and he's got his favorites. AJ Green autograph on there too. They're not worth a whole lot, but that's his PC. That's his personal collect, and he's got like these frames up in his bedroom wall. He's trying to collect all the Brewer current players and such.
That's
and
awesome.
That's what it's about, right?
Yeah. I mean, someone just brought in a binder recently, and it was filled with Brewers from like 08, 09. Oh, it was so fun to just dig through it.
Yeah.
I had so many guys that I was just reminded of, their time on the Brewers. Like that's where it's just like really fun.
Since you're an NBA guy, you'd appreciate what he's doing now. He's got this wall frame of 30. He's like, Dad, I'm going to put a card of who I think are the top 30 NBA players of all time.
Oh, and also I like that he said what I think, because that's great, right? He's got his own opinion of, maybe he'll find a spot for Jason Richardson. Who knows?
Exactly. Well, he's like, he's like, because I grew up a Penny fan. He's like, Dad, I don't think I can have Penny in my top 30. And I'm like, well, that's fine. He's like, I might put Bill Russell. I'm like, that's probably a good choice.
Yeah, that's pretty good. You might want to stop in sometime soon. We just took in a collection that has a ton of Penny.
Oh, okay.
Come take a peek. I heard you talking about that on the show earlier. So,
yep. Man, and that was the thing too. Like when I was a kid, I was just hoping to rip up packs and find my favorite players. It was hard to I couldn't go on eBay. There was no internet to like, okay, I'm just gonna buy Penny and Shaq. You just open up packs and hope you would get your favorite players in there.
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, still to this day, and I will say that some of these price hikes have made it difficult to just open packs. We have low-end products, we have high-end products. Families come in with questions. I want to make it really clear with whatever time I've got left here that we're here to educate. Like there's so much to understand and learn for your kids, like to make sure that they are also making good decisions with their cards. Sometimes we hear stories of kids kind of getting gypped out of something, either at a show or at on the playground or whatever, by someone who knows more. Like, knowledge is important, but we're here to educate. And if anybody ever has questions about that kind of thing, they can reach out to our Instagram. We answer questions all the time for
That's
parents.
awesome. That's awesome, because I was one of those kids. I remember one time because I was not a Jordan fan as a kid, but I had Jordan cards. I'm like, okay, I'll trade Jordan cards for Deion Sanders. And all that. Now I just regret it. I'm like, what was I doing back in the day?
Yeah, well, like little things too, like, there's a lot of fake Pokemon cards that are not.
We found that out.
Yeah.
He used to collect Pokemon for a hot minute, and we found out there's a lot of his were fake.
We'll always take in those fake ones, and we'll give you a pack in return so we can get those out of
really
circulation.
Nice. Yeah.
That's something we want to do too, is help with that. So anytime there's questions on that kind of thing, stop in at Slab Factory or reach out to us.
That's awesome.
We're here to assist.
Why don't you show us a little bit more about some of your PC over there too?
I'll show you a couple of them. I do have this card, which I want you to give away to your listeners. Okay?
Oh, wow. Okay.
This is a James Starks. This was my favorite running back. Here's the thing. Like, that Packers run was magical, and like James Starks was running hard.
Yep.
And he had no business being the leading back for a team winning the Super Bowl, but
they don't win without him.
No, they don't.
Nope.
But this one, I want you to give away to the fans.
Yeah.
I don't know however you want to do that.
All right. We'll do kind of a text. Everybody kind of text in, and I'll tell you a keyword or something like that. How about that?
It's numbered to 25, so it's a nice shorter printed card. Yeah, absolutely. Also, I brought it. This is not to give away. This is a Derek Jeter rookie. This is one of his more sort of iconic rookies. This is I bring in because a family friend had us go through his collection, and he had a few of these in there. And the shop ended up buying them from him because he wanted them gone, and I ended up I'm going to hold on to that one. It's a pretty iconic rookie.
Yep.
This one right here I think is going to be an iconic Jackson Chourio rookie. I love Heritage, the set that this one comes from, and
awesome.
That silver border. And then I already showed a couple of the patch cards, but I'll show my favorite. This is Chris Middleton. Fear the Deer patch.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, so it's got deer in the patch there. That one is that one's gonna stay in the collection. He's my maybe my favorite Buck of all time. I love Michael Redd. I love Chris Middleton. Love Giannis. But you know, all those guys, I'll call them all my favorite Buck of all time. I mean,
That's awesome.
They can all fit that mold. Yeah, absolutely.
So we actually have a text for you.
Okay.
It says, "Hey Dan, first time listening and first time texting. Tyler and the rest of Slab Factory crew are amazing.
Oh, that's awesome.
I live in Dallas, Texas area, and they are my favorite shop. Tell him to do more breaks." That's from Trevor. So.
Trevor. Oh, Trevor. Trevor's one of the guys that God, one of the best guys in the hobby. He's on X on Twitter. He's just a good dude, all around good dude. He had congratulations to him and his wife. They just had their son Wyatt.
Nice.
Named
Congrats.
after Wyatt Langford.
Okay,
on
that's
the Texas
cool.
Rangers.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah. Shout out to Weston. I know that Weston's going to be mad if I don't shout him out. That's his other son. So thank you, Trevor. Yeah.
That's awesome. So I got to ask, is there a card that you would love to have in your personal collection?
Oh, what a loaded question. Of course. Man, there's a lot. I will say that just one of those things, this is such a cliche answer, but I have to give it. Someday, you know, if through shop channels I'm able to own a Fleer Jordan rookie,
Yeah.
like, you know, they've walked in the door before. It's hard to make a deal on those. You know, as a shop, we have a responsibility to be a business. If we just bought everything at full value every time it walked into the shop, we wouldn't be able to keep the doors open. We have to think of it as a business transaction. Sometimes if something really cool walks in and we want it as personal collectors, we'll buy it at, like, you know, full comp, right? But like that doesn't happen very often because we're trying to separate business from personal and all that stuff, right?
Right.
So, you know, that kind of Jordan comes in, you're going to want full price for it, and I do not blame you, right?
Yep.
So, like, you know, I have not personally owned one of those. Even if the shop owns one someday, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
You know, the shop owns a couple of cards that we've decided to just get, you know, because they've walked up to the table, and yeah, we'll always want to try to grab those.
Or would you say that's got to be top 5 iconic card of all time, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, it might be like, it's one of the, it's never going to be the most valuable because there are too many of them. But it might be the most iconic. Like, you can argue, of course, like
Mickey Mantle, maybe
Mantle or Honus Wagner or something like that, right? But those are more like high dollar values, right? As far as just the most iconic sports card, it really might be that Jordan, just for sheer volume and you know, like, obviously who Michael was.
Right,
as a player.
exactly. So anybody listening right now, or like, because I'm taking my kid to Slab Factory after school today, because
Awesome.
he's like, last night he's like, Dad says tomorrow's National Trading Card Day. Can we go to a card shop? I'm like, oh, dude, yeah, okay,
Yeah, definitely.
I can't say so. But for anybody listening, shop hours, location.
Yeah,
for
so
Slab Factory?
we're not open Mondays, but we're open you know, Tuesday through Sunday. We open at noon, and we on the weekends we're open at 11, and we close at 7 or 8 depending on the day. You can check those hours on Google, but on Wednesdays, Fridays it's 8, otherwise it's 7. Yeah, if I'm not there, because I have a full-time job actually outside of this, but CJ, Joey, Caden, our employees got it really locked down. The other owners, Jordan and Paul, are always in and out too, and we always try to keep ourselves coming in. I mean, I go in every week, but you know,
Yeah.
I'm there a few days a week usually, but yeah, that's where you can find us, and those are the kinds of hours. We're on Claremont, right by what used to be Old Country Buffet. Now it's the Hong Kong Buffet. Yep, over there.
There used to be a video game store I remember as a kid in that strip too.
Someone brought that up to me the other day, and I, you know, I wasn't here, so I couldn't tell you. But I man, who brought that up? You know, I think it was like, shout out Andy Patry. He brought that up. He's a local author. He brought that up to me. Said there was a really cool video game store there.
I remember as a kid getting used games.
We do sell
over
some
there, too.
like Game Boy and Game Boys and Game Boy games and stuff in the case. Yeah,
Okay.
like refurbished. Yeah.
Madden 95 was my first Madden game, and I have it in Game Boy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm a touch younger than you, I think. I was Madden 2001 was the Game Boy game I was playing a lot.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, Tyler, thank you so much for hanging out with us this morning and chatting and appreciate it. And yeah, thank you for the James Starks card we're going to give to a lucky listener here this morning too. So again, follow him on Facebook, Slab Factory Facebook. Follow you on the X/Twitter, whatever the kids are calling it still these days too. So we got to do this again soon.
Let's do it.
Awesome. Tyler, thank you so much.
Thanks.